just to, if you are not awake, just to keep you awake, let me put some numbers in perspective for you. This project is probably the one project that is going to touch more people than all the other projects which are involved. Because if you think about the CPF or the upstream area, that will be a closed area. And you probably won't get a chance to see what's happening because it will be a very restricted area. But the pipeline traverses 10 districts across Uganda, 10 districts across Uganda, 24 districts in Tanzania. So, everybody along that route will have a chance to participate in the project. As you've heard, the project is 1,500 kilometers, almost. The project will be, there will be about 220,000 barrels a day. Again, to put it in perspective for you, Uganda today, all the cars and generators and everything consumes about 40,000 barrels a day. So that pipeline will be carrying 4 times the amount of fuel we consume in a day. Again, to put it in perspective for you, I think the numbers written are a $3.5 billion project today, but I am sure if you talk to the project guys, it's probably a $5 billion project. So that's how big it is. And talking about value retention, it is a very technical project. There's a lot of steel, there are a lot of pipes, there are a lot of pumps, so probably a lot of that will stay abroad. But there's value retention. I want to think, if we succeed in keeping 30% of that $5 billion, that is still $1.5 billion, which can be kept in country. But if you look at the national content plans, you've got the labor commitments, because they're going to employ a lot of people. You've got the technology transfer and capacity development, because we'll need a lot of welders. You've got the goods and services, because our mothers and sisters and brothers who are along the pipeline need to sell cabbages and tomatoes, leave alone all the small lodges that will be along the pipeline route. And it also got tech services. We hope by the time the pipeline guys, contractors leave the country, they will have done a bit of that technology transfer. So if there is a project where Ugandan contractors need to think about the joint ventures, this is the one big project. But probably let me leave that to the guys who are going to share with us what the scope is, which contracts have they awarded, which contracts are they about to award, when does the pipeline start, and they have a presentation. It's not going to be a session of, a chat, but at the end, we'll have a chance for you people to ask. But before I start, I'd like to recognize that this project, this session has been sponsored by Wally and ICS, and they do have a small presentation of about a minute before I invite the presenters. So, the Wally team, where are the Wally teams? Could you just stand up and we recognize you? Because thank you very much for sponsoring the project. We have David Bishop
on
there.
A solid professional engineering foundation gained from several projects in various parts of Africa. Today, we are a leader in Uganda's engineering and infrastructure sector, applying global solutions in the delivery of local projects that are sustainable, reliable, effective, and built on a solid professional engineering foundation gained from several projects in various parts of Africa. Today, we are a leader in Uganda's engineering and infrastructure sector, applying global solutions in the delivery of local projects that are sustainable, reliable, effective, and grounded to quality. We have gained this through high-profile consultants assignments in sectors such as oil and gas, transportation, built environment, power and renewable energy, water, environmental and social considerations. With strategic partnerships, we are building a close network of both local and international associate companies. We are engineering the Ugandan future. ICS, delivering sustainable and appropriate local solutions with global expertise.
Director in the Directorate of Petroleum, Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, our colleague Hani Malinga, who we've been with in the trenches for many years. Mr. Malinga is a trained professional geophysicist with 27 years in the petroleum production and development sector. He holds a Master of Science in Exploration Geophysics and a Bachelor of Science in Physics from the University of Makerere, and is a member of the Society of Petroleum Engineers. Mr. Hani Malinga is here to represent the PS who is unable to attend, Engineer Irene Batebe. Please put your hand together welcoming Hani Malinga. The next person I would like to introduce is David Bishop. David Bishop is a qualified construction engineer, a project manager with over 20 years of experience in oil and gas. He's also been in education as a senior lecturer in the universities in the UK and has headed the UK vocational training colleges. He started here in Uganda in local content and national content, whatever we called it, in the day in Talo Oil. I should also say that I'm proud to say that I worked with him. And he was based here for 3 years and before moving to Kenya. Welcome, David. While David is taking the podium, I should also note that there are a lot of Talo people who've been on the podium before, and I'm so proud of them. I saw Idrissa here in the morning, I saw Abdul, I saw Eli here. So there are so many ex-Talo colleagues, and I'm so proud of you. Don't hold me to that, though. The next person is Olivia Fonolo. Olivia has 20 years in oil and gas construction projects worldwide in both pipeline, surface facilities in Nigeria, Canada, Saudi Arabia, UK. I think I should stop there and say the whole world. He has a background in procurement, construction, project management, strategy, and he is now the local content manager for ECOP. Welcome, Olivier. The next person to the podium is Mr. Dong Yushang. Mr. Dong Yushang joined CPP in 2019 for the GTL oil storage tank projects in Mozambique, working on market development and local content management, now serving EACOP's pipeline construction project and assisting in the development and implementation of the national content. Welcome. The next person is Festo Kasule, with over 11 years of experience. He's an electrical engineer and has played a key role in the groundbreaking technologies in Uganda, Rwanda, and Burundi. He currently works with Schneider Electric here in Uganda, and maybe he'll tell us what Schneider does, but he's here as the contracts account manager. Welcome, Festo. And then the next person is Madame Anyang. At least our panel has a lady, which is good. Madame Anyang, who is a lawyer by training from the UK and Uganda. She's the national and local content manager at Bolloré Logistics. She previously worked as the legal manager at Total Energies, and previously was also a legal manager with Simba Group. She holds a Master's of Laws in Commercial and Corporate from the University of Dundee, and also a Bachelor's from Makerere University. I've run out of chairs, and I still have another person. Caroline Tayebwa. Is Caroline here? Are you joining the panel now, or you'll come later? Okay, she'll come later. So, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together welcoming these people. But before we go into the formal presentation, let me give you a minute each, other than Mr. Hani Malinga, well, after Mr. Hani Malinga has made his intro, to tell us what your own organization does, because it's pretty confusing.
So our organization on the ECOP side is to supervise and manage all the main contractors working within ECOP. So our target as national and local content is to make sure that we achieve and exceed, I would say, our commitments for this project.
Thank you. David?
Is that working? Yes. Hi, what does Whirly do? Whirly on this project is the EPCMC. That stands for Engineering, Procurement, Construction Management, and Commissioning, Level 1, Tier 1 contractor, as you've heard. What we do is we integrate our expertise with that of ECOP to keep a managerial oversight of all the Level 1 contractors. We've also done a lot of the engineering on the pipeline from as far back as 2014. We deal with procurement of the long lead items, some of the things that Jimmy was talking about, you know, the pipes, the export pumps, the loading arms, the marine terminal, etc. Our job mainly, though, is to assist the ECOP team in keeping a managerial oversight of the Level 1, Tier 1 contractors to make sure that they're complying with specification, complying with budget and schedule, but also complying with things like environmental protection, social considerations, labor management considerations, procurement considerations, and also making sure they're keeping up with their local content commitments or national content commitments, depending where they are.
Thank you, David. Festus?
Am I on? All right. Schneider Electric is a leading supplier in digital solutions for sustainability and efficiency. For the ECOP, we are going to be doing the EITS scope, which is electrical, instrumentation and control, telecommunication, and cybersecurity. Hope that explains.
Yes, thank you very much. Madam?
Good evening to everybody. This is Bolloré Transport and Logistics, Uganda Limited. We are the largest freight forwarding company in Africa and in Uganda particularly. So we are the contractor for ECOP, and that is what our scope is going to be.
Thank you, Winnie.
Good afternoon. I come from China Petroleum Pipeline Engineering Limited, abbreviated as CPP. We are the contractor of pipeline construction, and this is our first project in Uganda. Then I hope we can do an excellent job here and get as many as possible local entities and individuals involved in the project. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dong. So on the podium, we have most of the tier 1 contractors as far as the pipeline is concerned. Join me in welcoming the director, who is the policy maker, to give us his opening remarks.
Yeah, thank you. Are you a doctor? But we can still give you. Jim Gerwa, for that introduction. My fellow panelists, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm standing in for my PS, Madam Irene Bateve. Yeah, I wanted to see whether you're awake. She had wished to be with us here, but due to other duties, she has sent me in. I personally, I wanted to be here since yesterday, but unfortunately over the weekend, I lost one of my mentors up country, so we buried her yesterday, so I missed. So this morning I was tired, but I was forced to come here. I hope I'll do the duty which they have told me to do. People have talked about good presentations since yesterday, and even the word national versus local. So since the topic is policy provision for local, now I'm baptizing it to be national content for the ECOP project. For the interest of time, I'll just say all protocol observed, so the list is big. It's my pleasure to be part of the 8th Annual Oil and Gas Convention organized by our partners, Uganda Chamber of Mines and Petroleum, under the captive theme, maximizing national content and value retention. Why we say partners, we have already an MOU with the Chamber of Mines and Petroleum as far as to do this type of promotion is concerned. I'm honored to be speaking at the 7th session, which is speaking to the ECOP opportunity, and more specifically, the policy provisions for national content in the ECOP project. The ECOP project consists of several components, but is largely aimed at constructing 1,443 kilometer long pipeline. Other people talk of 1,445. The other additional 2 is within the ocean. So should not confuse. We hear 1,443. Some people talk of 1,445. But the truth is, land is 1,443. It is a heated crude oil pipeline, which starts from Kabale in Hoima, in Uganda, to Tanga in Tanzania. In Uganda, it will cover a distance of 296 kilometers. The MC has already talked of 10 districts. I want to add that 25 sub-counties. In Tanzania, the distance will be 1,147 through 8 regions and 24 districts. Ladies and gentlemen, this project was actualized by the intergovernmental agreement which the 2 governments, that is Uganda and the United Republic of Tanzania, signed in May 2017. It's now being implemented through the host government agreements, because the 2 countries have HGS, the tariff and transport agreement, and the shareholder agreements, which were conducted or concluded in April 2021 after a lot of negotiation. It has not been easy, but it was concluded. The governments of Uganda and the United Republic of Tanzania subsequently enacted enabling legislation to ensure lawful implementation of projects. When one of our engagement with honorable members of parliament, as far as the ECOP Act was concerned, they were asking us, where is the policy? Because in most cases, we first start with policy before we go to the laws. So we told them that by virtue that we have IGA and later HGA, those ones act as a policy direction, because policy is to tell you what do you plan to do. The conclusion of the required agreements and enactment of enabling legislation paved the way for announcement of the final investment decision, which was done on 1st February 2022. And this one has ushered in a lot of things. And someone told me that the conference has been well attended. It is more focused because of, I think, the FID. On the national content in the ECOP, ladies and gentlemen, the state of Uganda and the United Republic of Tanzania recognize the importance of national content in the ECOP project and agreed to address it in an integrated manner that takes into account the laws of the two countries, at the same time enables value retention by businesses and employees in the two countries. The IGA sets up some of the silent principles to guide national content for the project, and these are to be stipulated in the national content plans, which the moderator has already talked about, that the project is to develop. It was also agreed that national content shall be guided by IGA, state party legislation, and HGA. In light of the above, the ECOP Act 2021 confirms that the applicable regime for national content for the ECOP is the ECOP Act and other relevant Ugandan laws. The national content requirements are elaborated in Part 8 of the ECOP Special Provision Act 2021. For those ones who have seen the copies, it is Part 8. For those ones who have not seen, please make an effort to understand. That part has quite a list of requirements. There is national content plan, national content requirements, registration on a national supplier database, selection of contractors during construction phase, award of contracts, joint ventures with local partners. I think some of the issues came up when the previous session was handling the issue of taxes. So there's a lot of things, so we have to look. For those ones who have not seen, you should be able to get a copy and read it. The following are some of the key principles of the national content in the ECOP. 1, priority for Ugandan and Tanzanian goods and services during procurement. So when we are dealing with procurement, we have to make sure that Ugandans or Tanzanian goods are taken into consideration. Reserved contracts for certain goods and services to be provided by Ugandan and Tanzanian companies, registered entities, and citizens. C, required quality, health, safety, environmental, technical, and other standards for goods and services to be procured. So as we take this forward, we are working with other entities to make sure that standards are in place. Government is working, or the ministry is working hand in hand with other entities, including the Uganda National Bureau of Standards, to make sure that the standards are in place. Supplier development for Ugandan and Tanzanian companies, registered entities and citizens, plan for employment and training. I've heard my colleagues here talking. Training of Ugandan and Tanzanian citizens, implementation of the plan for recruitment and training of Ugandan and Tanzanian citizens, and the last one is support to Uganda and Tanzanian training institutions. So until we have this in place and they are fully followed, it might be very hard to really actualize the national content. In recognizing the cross-border and integrated nature of the ECOP, the HGA required the project company to develop a national content plan for the construction and operation phase in accordance with the cross-border nature of the project, where all the relevant cross-border issues are to be identified. The national content plans are to be approved by the governments, and the aspects to be included therein are set in the HGA. I'm aware that the Petroleum Authority of Uganda and the regulator in Tanzania, that's EWORA, are working closely with the ECOP company to ensure development and approval of acceptable national content plan. The HGA also provides that where Ugandan companies provide goods and services in Tanzania, are recruited and trained in Tanzania, or are recipients of technology transfer in Tanzania, each in relation to the ECO project and the conduct of the project activities, such goods and services, recruitment, training, or technology transfer shall be considered as part of the project company's contribution to national content in the Uganda, and the project company shall report to the state on these activities as part of its report on the national content matters. So it's quite loaded. We have people who are talking of transfer of technology already here. So whatever you are doing, we have to make sure that all that information, those ones who are benefited, have been captured. The same applies with Tanzanians provided goods or services, or are employed or trained in Uganda. The provisions above provide an incentive for the ECO project to procure goods and or services from joint ventures between Ugandan and Tanzanian companies, as this counts to the national content contribution in both states. Ugandan and Tanzanian companies should therefore be encouraged to enter into JVs to leverage on the favorable regime provided under the ECO project. I hope we have participants from the Tanzanian side so that they hear what we are saying this side. Ladies and gentlemen, the ECO project is very key to the commercialization of Uganda's oil and gas resources. It is also vital in maximizing the participation of Ugandans in the sector. The policy provisions for the national content in this project were carefully crafted to ensure that local participation or national participation is maximized, including by our people having the opportunity to be employed or do business on the project in the United Republic of Tanzania. I encourage the implementers of the ECO project to adhere to the local or national content regime in place and the regulators to ensure compliance. So I heard my mentors saying that there are issues which they are already discussing. I know Power is already engaging EWORA. I don't know at what level you will engage PURA, because it's also regulated their side. I heard you were talking about MOU with the URA. Then other MOUs might come along the way, because there are a lot of activities which are related to these activities. In conclusion, the government of Uganda is committed in facilitating and encouraging significant national content in its oil and gas industry, including on the ECOP, for the benefit of Ugandan economy and the society at large. With all that said, I want to thank you for the audience, for God and my country.
Thank you, Mr. Director Hani Malinga. I think the points he emphasized, which we really need to remember, is that it's a multi-jurisdiction project, which means the laws of Uganda, the laws of Tanzania apply. But they've done some good work for us to ensure that there's an enabling legislation. The other thing which I think is a key point that we should take away is the clarity of the importance around value creation on national content. The only thing which I seem to be struggling with, even as people are speaking on the podium and introducing themselves, and I'm introducing them, some of them call themselves local content, others call themselves national content. What is the real word? So we maybe we'll have another session with the chamber and decide, do we do what the Nigerians have done and called it Nigerian content, so that we are absolutely clear that we're not talking about local, but we're talking about Ugandan content? Or do we even move it to Ugandan participation? Because it's an important one. there are a lot of people here in the audience, and especially the foreigners, who are confused about what is a Ugandan company as far as the act is concerned. And I think my friends, the lawyers in the room, Apollo Makuvia or Ellison, should really try and guide, Nicholas here, you should try and guide the country around this point. Because people are confused around this thing, around national content. But without much further ado, I want to invite Mr. Olivier Fanule, the local or national content manager of IACOP. Please give him a round of applause. Could we have the presentation, please?
Thank you, Jimmy. Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm so used to say Habariza Subui. Allow me to say today Muli Mutia Basebo Nebanyabo. Thank you. So allow me also to excuse our project director, Emmanuel Blarez. He could not join us today. He could not make it. So I will present briefly the project on his behalf. And after, I will talk about our national content objective, principles, and I introduce also our main contractors. And thank you, Jimmy, about, he has been referring about local content and national content. So covering both sides from ECOP, for us, it helps us to differentiate when we talk about Tanzania and Uganda. So actually, we find it quite useful because once we talk about national content, everybody knows that we talk about Uganda. So we find it quite useful on our ECOP side. So today, yes, I have to deal with this one, I guess. I guess it's green. Yeah. So we started the ECOP project a long time ago. Actually, I think it was even in 2016. It was a long journey for us. So we have been through host government agreement in both countries, enabling legislation, and then more recently we could finally pronounce our FID early February. And this allows us in the end to create ECOP. So you might tell me, yeah, we know you are ECOP already since a long time, but for us it's a huge change because UNOC and CNOOC are now within our team. So for us, we've changed computer, we've changed email address, and ECOP and CNOOC are also part of our team. My management is not only Total, today is also JB that you all know, who is from UNOC. And I'm glad also that he has joined the project. So it's a all new different animal, allow me to say. So the scope of work, I'll just go briefly. So it's 296 kilometers of pipeline plus 95 kilometers of feeder line. And yes, it's a 24-inch buried pipeline and insulated. We'll do the insulation in Tanzania. And we have also 29 block valve stations to build on the side of Uganda. So this is describing the pipeline construction sequences that maybe CPP will detail later on. So it's about survey, laying the pipe, welding, digging, doing the inspection, lowering, backfilling, hydro testing, and then proceeding with the site restoration. This one is the project schedule. So as you can imagine, we have been updating this schedule several times. So now we are due to start the work. We have been starting to award some of our main contracts. First one was EPCM, so Worley for engineering, MLC, so logistics with Bolloré, and EITS, electrical instrumentation with Schneider. Actually, on the side of Uganda, those are the 3 contracts that we have awarded yet. And later on, we'll award CPP with pipeline and AGI. Today, they work under what we call CLOA, is a conditional letter of award, so that they can start to prepare themselves, prepare their procedure, prepare their team, and to get ready. Yes, this is our vision, but if there is something to remember, and that's something that we have been hammering on since a long time, our 3 main pillars are employment and training first, goods and services second, and 3, capacity building and technology transfer. This is the manpower histogram on the side of Uganda. So as you can see, most of the work, most of the employment is going to take place in 2023. Why is that? It's because we are going first to buy the pipe, to bring it in country. We'll do the installation on the side of Tanzania, and then we'll have to install it. So that's only when we will install the pipe, so making the trench and bury the pipe, that we'll have to employ most of the people. And as you can see with the gray and yellow, most of it is going through CPP, who will have to install the pipeline. And during the peak, we'll be reaching almost 1,600 people here in Uganda. As you can see, this is a pie chart summarizing for the employment within each discipline, the portion for each of them. So in terms of man hours, we'll reach 5,600,000, up to 1,600 people, as I said earlier, and lots of training also commitments. Here below you see a small table. So as per the host government agreement, we are due to employ nationals at a level of 20%, and 30% for 20 for management, 30 technical, and 95 for other. And just below you see those are the commitments coming from our main contractors when we merge all of them. As you can see, we are much above the minimum commitment, and this is our target. So this is what we want to achieve: 58% of management, 72% of technical, and 100% for, let's say, non-skills or labor personnel. This represents the skill sets that we'll need for this project within our main contractors. Similarly, this is a cloud of all the goods and services that this contractor are needing during the execution of the project. Within each and every contract that they do have, we have embedded the condition of what we call reserve contract from the HGA within their contract. All these goods and services are for Ugandans only. And we'll make sure, we'll monitor closely with them that this is being respected. Also, in terms of capacity building, we've collected lots of commitment from them. And when we merge them all, you see these figures for the train the trainer. So train the trainer, sometimes people are asking us what it is all about. So it is about doing training to the teachers at universities. So those are the commitments that we got on the side of Uganda, 1,600 hours. We'll also be part of the Industry Enhancement Center, for which TEP Uganda is a bit more advanced than us, so I think we'll get experience from them, but we also commit to develop this one. We'll do also quarterly forum. We'll do training for communities. We'll do internship. We do provide also support to local institutions. And some of our main contractors, once the work will be done, they propose to release their own facilities, tools to the local communities. So all this is embedded into the contract, and we'll make sure that it is going to happen. As ECOP, we also need some small services, because we all have our office also. So we'll need some HR, office administration, communication, logistic, HSC, land and social, and some IT services. So we have started already to publish this through EOI advertising, and we'll continue to do so. So this is for ECOP, meaning ourselves, our office. This is in the short term, and this is more in the long term, let's say, or all along the execution of the project for our affiliate. I must precise that all the presentations that we show today, including the one of our main contractors, will be on our website in the next few days on ecop.com. So this to prevent you from taking pictures. You have access to the same. So we started to engage already here in Uganda. So that was back in 23 of November last year. Unfortunately, there was the bombing incident, if you remember, just a few days before. So we had to cancel our flights for most of the team. So we had to present half from Tanzania, the other half here in Uganda. We had a good exposure, but it was more online and through TV, YouTube, and other channels. And now something important on which I would like to attract your attention. In Tanzania, we have been listening very much to the expectation, same as in Uganda, I must say. But since we were a bit more advanced in Tanzania, people were asking to go all along the regions and districts. And we have been doing this exercise. So we have been following the right-of-way for 2 weeks. We did 2,500 kilometers, and we visited all the districts and regions together with our main contractors. And we found that this was very good because people, yes, outside they are having, on the field, they have expectations. It's not only about doing a forum here to satisfy the biggest contractors, but there are lots of people also close to the field that have expectations. We find lots of smaller companies that have services to provide for security, transportation, catering, food, etc. And actually we found it quite useful. Also something that we would not expect. People came with rice, cooking oil, vegetables. And so at first we were wondering what we would do with them, to be honest. And then we did our presentation together with the main contractors. And we could see that there was lots of interactions. So people were saying, okay, how can I join your good project? Then catering companies were in the same room. And they said, look, I can take care of you. And after people were saying, oh, but what about the financing? And bank were with us. And they raised their hand and they said, I will take care of the financing. So as we say in my country, we did a bit of mayonnaise, and all the tier 1, 2, 3 were all together, and they started to discuss. And this was quite good. So from this good experience we had in Tanzania, now we want to reproduce the same here in Uganda. That's why from the 16th of May to 26th of May, we are going through all these regions that you see on the screen. And I must admit I'm not familiar with them, but I'll be there. And we are already engaging with our friends from PAU, also with UNOC, and also private sector. And we want all to be there to answer to the expectations and make sure we can make the bridge, we can make the link between the different tier 1, 2, 3, and to make sure that we can create the good connection so that nobody is left out. And also, as you can see in the below picture, I'm quite sure you cannot even guess who is contractor, who is the regulator, who is the partner, who is the stakeholder. We were all of us for 2 weeks together, and so it was all good also to create a nice team building. Now we also managed to build trust and confidence between all parties. So earlier it was said from Jimmy, okay, but what you guys are doing? So ourselves, we are ECOP together with UNOC, so we are the bar on the top. And we are going to follow and manage all the main contractors which you see below. So today you have Worley, CPP, Bolloré and Schneider, they are here. And themselves, they will have to subcontract to main subcontractors who eventually will subcontract to other smaller contractors. So this is the scheme, and this is what we call our subcontracting cascade. Today, our website is not very user-friendly, and we are going to update it so that it looks like this. And when you will reach ecop.com after a few days from now, you will be able to click on every and each of the main contractors. You will find the details of each and every of them, email address, phone numbers, and everything, plus all the advertising and EOIs which will fall under their respective scope of work. So those are some key words. This is how we are. This is who we are as ECOP. Again, we like to listen to expectations because this is also giving us an indication of what people expect from us. We are fully transparent. We are compliant. Safety is also a DNA within Total, and also within ECOP. So we want to build trust and confidence again. We have very good relationship with our stakeholders, so CNUC, UNOC. We start to engage a bit more now with PAU as well. Probably we have to engage more with PSFU as well and other private sector association. We are very passionate about national content. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank you very much for listening to me. Mwebale nnyo, Katonda abawe omukisa, and Uganda oye.
Well done, Olivier. At that rate, we will ensure that you deliver on those national content commitments. Two things I picked up. One was the schedule. You probably noticed that they deliver at the end of 2025. And I think the audience will get a chance to ask. But with everything that is happening, with all the headwinds that we see, with all Ukraine and Russia, are we still on target? And if we are not on target, what is the new date? The good thing is Philippe has also walked in, so when we get to the Q&A, we might just ask him to join in. But I think that the point to take away, and it's a point for all the contractors and even PAU, is this project is going to be about managing expectations. I think since we started this project in 2010, we have created so much expectations and keep rising. We keep turning the dial, and it's going up and up and up. And there's some reality. So at a certain point, we do need to share those realities. But let's get that into the real discussions. Can I ask the gentleman from CPP, Mr. Dong, please?
Okay. Distinguished participants, it gives me great pleasure to be here to present my company and show the potential opportunities of the project to you all. I come from China Petroleum Pipeline Engineering Company Limited. We are the contractor of the ECOP pipeline construction. Since the company's establishment in 1973, we have built hundreds of oil and gas transportation facilities around the world. However, this is the first project in Uganda. Therefore, we will endeavor to abide by the national content regulations and promote local development. The pipeline starts from Tilanga to the border between Uganda and Tanzania. It is 390 kilometers approximately long, and with 24 inches pipe diameter, 2 pump stations, 4 main camps and pipe yards, as well as mainline block valve and electric heat treating stations. It has a total construction period of 24 months and a commissioning period of 3 months. Here's the schedule for the main activities. It is estimated that the contract effective date will fall on July 1st this year, and many activities such as management, project control, administration, procurement, and construction engineering will start after that date, and the other construction-related activities will carried out successively. We do need local talent to support our work. Here is the histogram shows the number of local people that we are planning to employ locally. And the horizontal axis indicates the time, while the vertical axis indicates the number. The blue bars represent the local staff number for pipeline activities, while the orange bars represent that of above-ground installation activities. With regard to the local employment, we have set up a process, and after our recruitment plan gets approved, we will advertise the job vacancies in the newspapers in the near future. And in addition, all kinds of trainings will be conducted to help develop the employees' skills. And the figures in the histogram are all estimated based on our plan, but we certainly recruit as many as possible to join our team. The ratio of local people in our team will be increased year by year. According to the organization, a variety of positions have been reserved to the local people, including but not limited to worker, technical engineer, craftsman, steel bender, helper, coordinator, safety guards, and drivers, etc. What's more, we will try to find local vendors and suppliers in the categories such as foods and beverages, home accommodation, security service, equipment hire, civil work, transportation, and fuel supply, and so on. As the project gets started, we will advertise the EOI and initiate the call for tender process. All the competent local entities are entitled to participate in the bidding. From advertising the EOI to call for tender to sign contract, it may last for about 10 weeks. However, the duration will be adjusted according to the particularities of the goods, services, and works. The principles of openness, fairness, and transparency will be applied throughout the process. We haven't found any local partners till now, but we sincerely welcome all of the competent local entities to cooperate with us, and the individuals too. Public biddings and job vacancies will be advertised on the newspaper in the near future, so all the local entities and individuals, please pay attention and wait patiently. To acquire more information and details, please don't hesitate to contact us. Here are the CPP's official contact details for national content, including email address, cppnclc@outlook.com. And our office is located in Kololo, Kampala. And here are the WhatsApp number and the phone numbers, both in Uganda and Tanzania. You are welcome to browse our website for more confidence to cooperate with us. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Shishe Dong. I think we should put our hands together. We should give him another round of applause, because he has told us they're looking for local people. He has told us they're looking for local entities, and the address and his phone numbers are on there. So the onus is on you to ensure that you take on the challenge. But I think you all noticed that at peak of the construction, they've got 1,500 people. I think it would be nice to understand how many of those are in Tanzania and how many of those are in Uganda. But let's get to that when we get in the Q&A. Allow me to invite the local content guru, David Bishop.
Oh, they've given me a remote control. I usually can't even find this at home. My kids would be watching cartoons by now. So yes, I began my local content career here in Uganda with Tullow Oil. So I worked with Jimmy, I worked with Abdul, who was stood here earlier, and I worked for Ellie. And a better boss I've never worked for. And also worked very collaboratively with the PEPD at that time, quite a number of whom now are in the regulator. And I hope to continue that kind of relation with them on behalf of Worley. So, Worley are in the early stages of mobilizing to Uganda. We're trying to set up a local entity, and we're also seeking offices, looking for offices. But we've already signed subcontracts with 2 local companies. One is Infra Consulting Services, ICS, and the other is Newplan. These are subcontracts with a difference, in that they will be integrating with Worley. So their engineers will be working alongside our engineers. It has another difference in that long term, They will be working alongside engineers who have a lot of experience of building pipelines. They will be right in the line of fire of this project. Now, some of you will have heard, in fact, most people will have heard of an American diplomat called Benjamin Franklin, one of the founding fathers. Now, he had a couple of things to say about education, and I've used this in my education career. He says, if you tell me, I forget. If you teach me, I remember a bit. But if you involve me, I learn. And this is what we're going to do with ICS and New Plan engineers. We're going to involve them in the project with our engineers. They will learn. We have other ambitions for that relationship because a lot of talk has been had in the first day and the second day about direct, indirect, and induced development because of oil and gas and national content. And with the ambitions of people getting into direct services. And yes, direct services will be needed right throughout the life of the oil field in downhole services, etc. But you've got to ask yourself, what is Uganda going to do with the revenue? It's quite obvious that Uganda will be building its own capacity. And that requires a lot of projects, and that requires construction. And therefore you need to keep a focus on the indirect sector, because that is construction, and those are the industries that support construction. And that'll be vital for the future. So, my microphone's not working?
Microphone, no, I think you just need to lift it a little bit.
Okay, I'll raise it a bit, okay. People don't usually complain about not being able to hear me. So, this is our schedule. The blue is Tanzania. The piece that you're going to be interested in is the red piece below. So, we have coming up early civil works. Now, as the regulator will remind me immediately, civil works are on the reserve contract list, which means that the contract has to go to a Ugandan company. And that company will have a contract with ECOP, because that's the way it was done in Tanzania. So therefore, that Ugandan company will be a Tier 1 contractor. Now, with regard, a little bit later, we'll be looking at the water supply, but the Lot 1 pipeline and AGIs are going to start in sometime during the first half of 2023, next year. Now, Worley doesn't dig trenches. Worley doesn't weld pipes together. Worley doesn't transport pipes up and down the right-of-way. What we do is we assist ECOP with managing the level 1 contractors who do that. So the people we employ are going to be management-type people in that they're going to be involved in the management of the process and the management of the project. So I'm visually challenged. I know I'm on the office-based roles because I can just about read that. So I'll have to turn around to have a look at this. I'm not being rude, turning my back on you. It's just that I'm rather short-sighted. So you can see there's a number of different disciplines involved there. Everything from engineering to liaison with communities. It's important that communities are involved, that stakeholders are managed properly, that local workforces are managed in line with the International Labour Office guidelines and the Equator Principles. And it's our role in Worley to assist ECOP in doing that. So the engineers and technicians coming in from our local partners will be assisting us in doing that. And they'll be working alongside expatriate specialists and engineers to do it. So that's the sort of office-based roles. Now, please don't try and note them all down, because you will find that this presentation, along with all the other presentations that we do on behalf of ECOP, are on the ECOP website. So you only have to log on to the ECOP website and you can find these and look at them at your leisure. These are the site-based roles. Again, there's going to be quite a lot of what we would call field engineering. So a lot of the engineering that was done back in 2014 through to the present day is not the end of the engineering story. There is other work that needs doing, and the local Ugandan engineers will be involved with our engineers in performing those duties. Now, we call this on-the-job training. It will be properly managed with coaches and mentors and with some formal training when necessary, but it will be done on a performance management basis and constant 360 feedback. Now, these are some of the project goods and procurement. Now, Worley does a lot of the procurement for the project. A lot of the items that we procure are on behalf of ECOP. They are long lead items. They are either highly technical or they are extremely heavy, or both. And this process has been going on for some time and will continue until well into the end of next year. Every time we do a piece of procurement, we advertise that in an expression of interest, which goes into widely read newspapers in both Tanzania and Uganda, sometimes in both countries, depending on what's being procured. The expression of interest asks you to jump a few hoops about telling us who you are, making sure that you are a properly registered company, that you have a tax PIN, that you have a tax clearance, all the due diligence things that we're looking for, and specifically in Uganda, that you are registered with the National Supplier Database. And if you're a joint venture, that you are a joint venture approved by PAU. If you're none of those things, we cannot award you a contract. So please go onto the PAU website and look up what it means to be on the NSD and look at what it means to be an approved joint venture. These are some of the other things we will be procuring. As you can see, there's a lot of piping, a lot of valves, a lot of pumps. There are loading arms. There are all sorts of things for the marine terminal and so on. Now, when it comes down to us and our operations in Uganda, we'll be looking for transportation for our own engineers to get them up and down the pipeline. We'll be looking for hotel accommodation, of course. We'll be looking for other types of accommodation. Security will be a local contract. Office supplies will be a local contract. IT and equipment is a local contract. And there is an EOA that's presently out looking for Ugandan companies that can supply IT services to Worley. And PPE is, of course, one of the items on the reserve contracts list, so we will award that contract to a Ugandan company. Now, that's our address, if you want to note it down. Our project director is a very nice man called Daniel Rapiti. He will be coming here on a regular basis. The local content manager, stroke national content manager, is myself. When I first arrived in Uganda, it was local content. And the closer you got to the Albertine Graben, determined how many locals you put before content. And we had local content, local content, local content, and so on and so on. And then a wise man stood up and said, look, guys, this is Uganda's oil, so there's no such thing as local content. We're going to have national content and community content. I thank him for that, because I was suffering from carpal tunnel syndrome at the time for typing out the word local about 5,000 times a day. So I was very pleased about that. But I think it focuses the mind on what this is about. And a lot of other countries in East Africa, and I've been involved in the Kenyan legislation when I was working for the World Bank in getting the Kenyan local content policy up and running, getting the legislation up and running. I've also been involved with the Ministry of Energy in Mozambique to discuss how they're going to get from where they are to good local content. The one thing I think you need to keep in mind is about participation. It's about Ugandans being able to participate in this project, but not only in this project, but in what comes after. And that requires capacity building. That requires a raising of performance standards. And this is something that we are committed to assisting ECOP in helping you do. You'll notice there's an email saying ecop-supplierinfo@worley.com. Now, this has a specific purpose. If you want to register with us as a Ugandan company, we will store your contact information under the products that you supply. So if you're supplying PPE, you will go under the heading PPE, and then all your contact details will be underneath. So you need to tell us the company name, your website, your contact details, description of the equipment and materials or goods and services that you wish to sell us, and an e-copy of the company brochure would be good. What happens then is when we are about to distribute an EOI in Uganda, we will give you a heads up by email to say you need to be keeping your eye on this newspaper because an EOI is about to come out. That's as much notice as we can give you as an EOI, although we are working to give more information. A lot of the goods and services that are currently on the list have not yet been estimated in terms of quantities, mainly because the engineering is still going on. And what comes first is engineering and design, and then you can work out what it is you need. Yeah? Well, I'll pass you on to Bolloré next, or Olivier. Well, I hope what I've said has been interesting to you and has been informative. If you want to stop me and ask some more questions, please do. If you want to email me, my email address is easy. It's just david.bishop@worley.com. It's easy, okay? And I'll answer your emails. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, david.bishop@worley.com. Easy to remember. Probably something they didn't mention is that, in my understanding, is that Worley and ECOP are working together as far as national content is concerned. So, if I understand it correctly, David, you're the deputy of Olivier at the ECOP side. So they've kind of integrated it. Because as you heard, Worley is the EPCM, which is the engineering, procurement, and construction management. So they take over all that, and they will be working together, especially when it comes to the procurement. I think the important thing he also mentioned is the one on NSD. Just by a show of hands, how many people are registered on the NSD? And Mr. Ernest Lubondo will turn around to check that everybody is. Ernest, just turn around and you need to do some more work. Clearly, half of the room is not yet registered. I don't know what you're doing here. But you've heard, they won't consider you if you're not on the NSD. And I would now like to invite Bolloré, Winnie, to please give us your presentation. Thank you.
Good evening to you all. Okay, everyone is really tired, so I know you want me out of here. I'll say that again. Good evening to you all. Okay, that's much better. I was glad that there was excitement when you realized that there was a woman up here. So thank you very much, ladies. In regards to national content, I would like to say that the women are also taking up space, so which is really good. But also an advantage to Bolloré that they focused and made sure that it was a woman that was their national content manager, which is me. Over to our presentation today. Bolloré has been in Uganda for more than 50 years. We were first here in 1968, and we have continued to... Yeah, he's reminding me, thank you. So we've been here for more than 50 years. But in Uganda specifically, we focus on freight forwarding, which is transport and logistics. And we have a couple of accreditations, the one being the economic operator in East Africa, which is why we have ECOP. We will have the one that's catered by Bolore, Tanzania, and then Bolore, Uganda. So I will specifically focus on only our scope, which is in Uganda. As Bolore, we already have existing synergies that we work closely with to make sure that we actually maximize local content. As a company, we have over 96% of the employees being Ugandan, and which covers management, technical and non-technical. And then we also have other internships and graduate programs which are available to students as well. Now our synergies are basically transport and operations, heavy lifting, as you can see up there. And all of these are already synergies that we have already engaging with the Ugandan companies. That slide is quite important because it shows you exactly the scope that will be covered in Uganda. Now, I will not go into the nitty-gritties of the engineering aspect of the pipeline itself, but this is the scope that we are going to be able to cover. So like I mentioned earlier, there is a scope. Majority of the scope is covered by Bolore, Tanzania, and then the remaining scope is covered by Bolore, Uganda. So on here are some of the positions that we are going to need, and most importantly, as a transport company, what we need is pretty much the drivers. So we need drivers. So we're going to have about 50 and more of them, and our interest is mostly in the communities. For example, if we have, let's say, 2 drivers applying for the position of driver, and we have one person from another region of Uganda, but one particular person from the pipeline regions, then we will prefer that particular person and not go for the other person that's from another district. So we are trying to make sure that we have all of the communities as engaged as possible. And then those are some of the other positions. Of course, some of the positions are more management positions, so those will require extra expertise, which we will advertise and make sure that we have all of the Ugandans apply for that. And then they're the technical, and then they're the non-technical. For non-technical, we have a preference for the community, because then we can be able to take them through the trainings and have them on board with us. Then these are some of the local services that we will require as a company: road transportation, labor sourcing, hygiene services, catering services. So all these are aspects of the local services that we will require as a company, which are only ring-fenced for Ugandans. But the good thing that already with our expertise of over 50 years, we already have companies that we are working with closely. And the good thing is that most of them already have most of these requirements. They're on the NSD. We ensure and help them, guide them. So that's another thing that we do as the National Content Office, is guide some of these companies on how to make sure that all of the requirements are met by them. If they're having challenges probably registering with NSD, registering with the URA, we kind of give them an opportunity to take them through and help them so that they're compliant, and so that we can be able to work closely with them. So that is pretty much what we have for you as a logistics company. We are more than happy to work with any of the Ugandan companies. So feel free. We are on Ntinda Stretcher. Just pass by, and I'm more than happy to receive anybody and have a conversation with them. Just ask for Winnie, and I'll be able to attend to your question and help you. Thank you very much.
A bigger round of applause for the lady. Brilliant. Winnie touched on a pretty sensitive point, and I think it's a point we need to discuss. This community content, so getting from local, then community content. If you're going to hire drivers from that stretch, what does that mean for the guys who use the road in the other regions where they supply the material? So we kind of just need to, again, think about it and see what we do with it. But Winnie, again, a question to think about, which I think might come from the audience, is you said just turn up in Tinder, knock the door and say, Winnie, here I am, I have a truck. Do you entertain something like that? I have a new truck. So, but she'll answer it when the time comes. I would like now to invite Festus to tell us about the electrical and instrumentation.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, moderator. I'm privileged to be here to represent Schneider Electric and SNEF and present the EITS scope of the ECO project and our national local content in that. Schneider Electric and SNEF set up a consortium, so we'll work together as a consortium. Both of them have a permanent establishment in Uganda. Schneider Electric France has a company registered as SEF, and then SNEF has a company registered as EKIM in Uganda. Earlier on, I introduced Schneider Electric as a leading supplier of digital solutions for sustainability and efficiency. In the same light, SNEF is a global supplier for end-to-end services, and it's also interested in multi-technical solutions. Yeah. So as I dive deeper into the presentation, you'll get to know which will do which part. The EITS scope, I would like to maybe cite it out that it's electrical, instrumentation and control, telecommunication and cybersecurity, and that is what we shall be handling for ECOP. So when we focus on the local market in Uganda under electrical, we're looking for partners, local partners who will help us in customs clearance, local logistics of the free issued equipment. Then we shall also look at e-house site installation, so that we're looking at local labor force and testing tools. We're looking at field cable and testing, so there will be a focus on the local labor force as well. We're looking at the plant commissioning, so there will be a focus on the local labor force as well. And then performance tests, we're also looking at the local labor force as well. And then final documentation will be done by the local labor force. That is just the electrical discipline. If I move further under instrumentation and control, we're looking at the importation of equipment within the country. We're looking at prefabricated building equipment workshop, where we shall have a focus on the local labor force. We shall look at field cable termination as well, and we shall have an emphasis on the local labor force. We shall look at plant commissioning, and we shall have an emphasis on the local labor force. We shall look at performance tests, and we shall have an emphasis on the local labor force. And final documentation will be done by the local labor force. And then when you look at the telecom discipline, I think this has a large scope for the local partners. When you look at the telephone system, there's a potential local procurement for it. CCTV systems, we shall do local labor force and potential local procurement. Data and fiber optics cabling will be a local labor force. Telecom towers and CCTV masts will be local labor force and potential local procurement. Entertainment equipment, screens, projectors, we're looking at potential local procurement. Assistance for commissioning, we're looking at local labor force as well. Assistance meaning that our expertise will come in, but they will work hand in hand with the local labor force here. And also we're looking at special tools and consumables. We shall look at local procurement for that. Inland logistics as well, and final documentation. These are all areas where we can partner with the local entities here. Just a minute. When we go to the Ugandan, what we expect to employ in terms of employees, we're looking at the management level, we're looking at the technical level, and also we're looking at other or / unskilled level. And the management level, we're looking at the site director, the site manager, and all that. And we have a target of about 73% overall for both the contractor us and the subcontractors that we shall use, that overall the management, technical and others, we shall try and meet that. And then for the subcontractor level, we're looking at a 99%. Under management, we have what I've listed there. Then under technical, we have the welders, the secretaries, the technicians, the commissioning engineers. So it will be back to back. We shall have our own as the contractors, and also we shall have subcontractors having their own. Then under unskilled, all other, we're looking at drivers. Yeah, so there's potential for you to engage in. There's something that I wanted to share earlier, just for me to give a brief understanding of the electrical scope. Under the electrical scope, we have switch gears, which shall supply. We have transformers, which we shall supply. And then under instrumentation and control, we're looking at control centers, both here in Tanga and in Uganda. And then under telecommunications, I've already mentioned CCTV, telecom mass, fiber optics, multiplexers. Yeah, we shall supply all that. And also looking at still under electrical, the 132 kV GIS for us to supply. So we shall look for partners. We shall be in need of partners for that. Hence this screen for the contact details. For Schneider Electric France, we have a presence, an office on 7th floor, Yusuf Le Road. And also for Ekim, we have an office in Nakawa. And the contact details are cited there. But also feel free to contact me for any engagement. We also have a pre-qualification phase for the people who want to become potential suppliers. So later on, I'll share with you, if you reach out to me, that it will be like a site where you can go, and then you're taken through the steps. So there are some steps you have to take. We have to assess whether you can actually supply, and also whether you've complied with what everyone has said. You're also registered in the database. Yeah, that's pretty much it. My contact details are also, they were cited there, but just for clarity, festo.kasule@se.com. Feel free to reach out to me in case you're interested in the EITS scope. Thank you.
Thank you, Festus. First of all, for keeping time. Before the regulator goes, let's take some questions from the audience, because some of them might be for the regulator. Ernest, when are you changing the name from local content to Ugandan content? Okay, questions from the audience. Who wants to go first? Doesn't appear like we have any questions from the audience. Or is it my eyesight? But there's a gentleman at the back, I'm told. Apologies, my eyesight is not very good. Yeah, there's a gentleman up there. There's a lady out there. And then there's a lady here. The active side tends to be this side for some reason. But please say your name.
My name's Ibrahim Mwesige from Ecotel. Ecotel, we are partners with the Uganda Chamber of Mines. Mine goes to Mr. Kasule, who has just presented. We're into the telecom environment. And my question goes to, I don't know whether sensors are part of your scope of work, and if so, because I know they are in the fluid flow, there could be changes in the thermodynamics, causing some fluid having accumulation, and that part of your electric engagements or something like that. Then we could also engage you on that. For sensors, that is input-output flow of the oil. Thank you.
Thank you. And that is to Festus. Let's take the second question. Yeah, please, go ahead.
Okay, mine is not a question, but just a piece of information.
Please, Director, introduce yourself.
Yes, of course I'm going to. My name is Penny Nahewa. I work for the Petroleum Authority of Uganda as one of the directors there. I want to thank the presenters for the very, very valuable information shared. And as you can see on each of the contracts or service, there's a portion for Uganda, there's a portion for Tanzania. But there are those specific services that are exclusively in Tanzania. For example, I think the coating plant, a number of aspects are exclusively located in Tanzania. But just to say, even for those, we have kind of tried to see how Ugandans can benefit in those ones. So even for those, there's some aspects that will benefit Ugandans. But all I wanted to share is we can benefit more in even those ones that are in Tanzania by becoming or joint venturing with the Tanzanians. We have different definitions for a Tanzanian company and a Ugandan company, which we are trying to harmonize. It may not be solved today or tomorrow, but that shouldn't deter us from benefiting from the opportunities that are in Tanzania. One of the ways is to get onto their database, and the only way of doing that is entering into a JV with a Tanzanian, and that way you will be able to benefit from the services there. But at the same time, the ones that we still have here in the country are also good enough for all of us. But for us to be able to gain experience on some of those that are on the other side, that is the way we can do it, joint venturing with the Tanzanians. We get onto their database, and then we'll be able to benefit from that side. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Penina. Did I hear that for you to get on the National Supplier Database of Tanzania, you need to joint venture with a Tanzanian company, whereas in Uganda, you do not need to have to joint venture with a Ugandan company, right?
Yes, that's correct. I think for them, they only register Tanzanians. And for you to be considered a Tanzanian, either you're purely Tanzanian or you're in a JV with a Tanzanian. And there are specific percentages there that you need to fulfill. Maybe Bishop can say more on that.
Okay, that's an important point, especially when we talk about the Ugandan company. Because in Uganda, correct me if I'm wrong, the lawyers in the room, but you do not need to just be a Ugandan. I think you need, there are some regulations, so we probably need to tighten. Any other comment, question? Yes, please.
Is this thing working? Yeah, Jimmy, if you're in Uganda, no, you don't need to be, and a joint venture, that joint venture needs to be approved by PAU.
Yeah.
Because PAU will be looking to make sure that the Ugandan partner has a fair share and is also contributing to the work of that joint venture. Because it's only by contributing to the work of that joint venture that they will build capacity. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. You had a question?
Yes. My name is Emmanuel Chagara. I'm the CEO of Milima Security, and it's a pleasure. I want to thank the moderator and the presenters. It's been very excellent. I want to commend Mr. Kasule for the services around cybersecurity and the various technologies. I was almost getting shocked that the entire day we had gone through without addressing issues around security or even someone raising it up. At Milima, we are probably the only cybersecurity company in Uganda. Many of us are non-Ugandan. Now, the need for cybersecurity cannot go without being emphasized enough. On such a platform where we are talking about value retention and creating resilience within the oil and gas sector, while we are talking about digital assets, but ignoring the rising level of cyber threats, it becomes counterproductive. So I think this is something that we should continue to have, and if we can even have more emphasis on it, And also this is an offer to you, Mr. Kasule. I'm happy to have a discussion with you on the site to see what kind of partnerships we can explore along those lines. But definitely it is an area that we must have as much focus on as we go digital. The level of cyber threats goes, it is only growing. And so it is very important that we look at it very critically. Thank you very much.
Thank you for emphasizing that point. There was a question around the debt. Is it the end of 2025, or are there some worries or headwinds that we need to take into account given everything that is happening? And that could be answered by Olivier, Philippe, the Deputy MD of ICOP. Who wants to take it away?
The mic is in my hands. The nature of complex projects is that the date you are given, there is always a plus minus. The president requested, can you bring 2025 to 2024? That he prefers the minus. The plus comes because of the complexity of projects. I think you already mentioned, the moderator, about the challenges we are facing with Russia. Not Russia, the conflict in Ukraine. My apologies to the Russian comrades in the house. We are very good friends with Russia. So that affects us in different ways. We need to access line pipe. We also know that there is always financial viabilities with the Russians. Russians have some good amounts of money. And so that affects us in different ways. We have to recalibrate a number of things. And so that adds a plus. Where we fall, as long as we don't exceed an additional 6 months, that's not too bad for a project like this. So it can still be a plus or a minus. We have heard CPP saying they can build this line in 24 months. That also has a plus and a minus. So let's agree that there will be flexibility. And if you allow me, I wanted to make a rallying call in regard to national content, national participation. We have always spoken to the fact every Ugandan asks, what is in need for us as Ugandans? You have heard the detail. You have been given the means, what you need to do to participate. I don't think you are going to ask for more content than you have been given. If you have forgotten anything, you have been given the packages. We have told you the ECOP website is going to be open very soon. Every package will have its detail, all the specialities, every subcontract that is advertised will be there. Kindly do your bit. Ensure you have the minimum requirements to participate. Because if you don't, then you fall out of line. And then you will say, I was not given the opportunity to participate. So it's a rallying call to fellow Ugandans to ensure that you organize yourselves. I will close the rallying call with another quotation. I just repeat what my elder always says. He has told us before, the quote he picked from Shakespeare, that, and we are really at the break of a tide right now. The tide has broken. This is Shakespeare. There is a tide in the affairs of men and women, which, taken at the flood, leads on to fortune. Omitted, all the voyage of their life is bound in shallows and in miseries. On such a full sea are we now afloat. And we must take the current. We must take the current when it serves or we lose our ventures. Thank you very much. Let's go and do it.
Thank you. Thank you. But I think there was a question for Festus, and as Festus gets ready to, can I ask Caroline to please join us and give us some 5 minutes of the role of insurance. But Festus? I don't think it's working. Anyway, maybe you'll have a one-on-one with him since it was a very personal question. Please, ladies and gentlemen, join me in thanking our wonderful panel and for the presentations that they've given us. And I think they've given us quite a lot of information about the future contracts. Thank you very much. And you can please take leave. Can I also invite Marcus to introduce Caroline?
Please, let's give moderator Mr. Jim Mugero a big round of applause for that very insightful ECOP conversation. So I have 2 quick things before we can leave. The first is I'll invite Caroline in a moment to give us a word or two about the insurance and how they're going to play in this space. But first, we have a draw to do. And I'm going to ask our lead sponsor CEO, Madam Anjuko, to please come on stage and help me do this draw. The people from Bar Aviation have been receiving your business cards. They have a return ticket to Bwindi, all expense paid for 2 people. If you didn't drop in your business card, I would like to inform you it's too late. In case you're wondering who they are based at Kajansi Airfield. They offer helicopter services, passenger flights, aerial surveys, air medical evacuation services, drone services, and many aviation solutions. So, Dorothy, how does this work? Maurice Amagola from, I think, Aeon Minette. Going once. Going twice. Help me say gone. I thank you. Derek Natumanya, ICS. Oh, wow. And I think he just dropped in his card now. How annoying is that? Let's give Derek a round of applause. Congratulations. As they say, better late than never. Well done. Thank you. So, congratulations. Okay, so I am going to ask our lead sponsor to quickly give a vote of thanks before Caroline gives her remarks quickly. Before I do that, though, somebody lost a phone, a Samsung phone. The screensaver is an elephant. I don't know if it's an actual picture or it's a drawing, but you have to find me And also these AirPods still haven't been collected, so these two items still need to be collected. So our lead sponsor, CEO Stanbic Bank, Ms. Ann Juko, will give her closing remarks on this oil convention. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcus. Thank you, Marcus. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. In the interest of time, please allow me to dispense with the protocol, but recognize you in your capacity. I want to begin by thanking you for a wonderful and engaging conference. You have been an excellent audience. To be here today, to still be in the room at this time, is testimony to how interested you are. So please do clap for yourselves. Also, I continue to thank the speakers, the presenters, and everybody else who has worked to bring it here, to bring us to this level. Thank you for a job well done. The content is excellent and timely and meaningful, so we are very, very grateful. In a special way, I'd like to thank the following people. I thank the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Energy, the regulator in absentia, but I know he's ably represented, PAU, Total, CNOC, and all the other participants. And mostly, I'd like the Chamber to thank the Chamber for a job well done. Thank you very, very much. For the last 8 years, Stanbic Uganda has been walking this journey. We have been, long before it was fashionable, we have been here. We've been working this journey, we've been sponsoring this conference, we've been working with you to get ourselves ready. So today is especially gratifying, the last 2 days, to see 800 people. In the first day, I'm not sure what the count was today, but yesterday was at least 800 of us come to attend and participate and learn. Is really, really gratifying for us to know that the seeds we planted in conjunction with the government 8 years ago are starting to bear fruit. In this journey to First Oil, Stanbic remains committed. Not just involved, but committed. There's a difference between being involved and being committed. And I'll give you an example. If you know the story of eggs and bacon. In the production of eggs, a chicken is involved, gives the egg and walks away. In the production of bacon, that person is committed. That's a joke, so we can, if you haven't gotten it, sorry, but it's really to say that we are committed, and we've been here a long time, we'll continue to be here. We have been working on several areas that are of note. The first being the pre-FID. It's exciting to be here because we already have post-FID. But the real work started well before FID. Getting ready, getting everybody in the space to be able to be here today is work that has taken a very, very long time. If we talk about our involvement, is in many, many categories, but the single most important one is capacity building. If you heed the call and the quote from Shakespeare about the time being now and us being ready, and bring it into oil and gas, we're really talking about readiness as local content. The law has been written very well, but are we ready as Ugandans to participate? And I'm pleased to report and to share with you, friends, that we at Stanbic are ready to walk the journey with you. And to that end, in consultation with the Chamber, I'm pleased to announce that we will continue the conversations here with a monthly half-day conversation. Every month we will take one subject and delve in it in detail. The first month will be the tax conversation, which we know is readily, everybody has expressed an interest and remains yet to be understood. And Stanbic will be sponsoring those in-depth monthly conversations. So you're all welcome back here. Every month we will share with you the subject matter experts in a particular area. We will tackle taxes, we will tackle ESG, we will tackle so many other subjects that you tell us are in depth. All this in a bid to get you to be ready. It is one thing for the meal to be served, but if we're not ready to partake, we will look on as it indeed sails by. In addition, I also like to confirm our commitment and participation, especially given our size and history. Friends, Standard Bank Africa comes with 170 billion US dollars in total assets as at the end of December 2021. Of that, 90 billion is loans and advances lent to customers on the continent. What we're talking about from a capability and capacity point of view is not something we are going to do. It's something we are already doing. We've done it in Mozambique, we've done it in Nigeria, we're doing it in Ghana, we're doing it in so many other places. So Uganda will not be any different. We are here, we have been here, we've walked the journey with you, and indeed we will continue to do the same. As I close, I want to also mention a few other areas where we have intervened. There are very few organizations that have a training school. We have a training school. We like to call it the Stanbic Incubator, but at the core of that is capacity building and training. This capacity building is across different regions. We now have 5 centers across the country. We have a center in Hoima, and in Hoima we are working with the local content to make sure that the people in Hoima are able to produce goods, agricultural produce, that can be consumed by their neighbors in the camps in the oil and gas sector. We're doing the same in Mbale. We have a big one in Kampala. We have one in Gulu and another one in Barara. This is the 5 schools that we have across the country that do nothing but capacity building. To that end, friends, I want to invite you to participate in our incubator programs. They are free of charge, and they are not restricted to Stanbic customers only. So every Ugandan, wherever you are, can come and participate. And we've also partnered with the large main contractors. We're working in conjunction with CNOC. We're working in conjunction with many others to be able to get what the contractor wants and break it down to the Ugandan company to say, if you're going to partner with CNOC, this is what you need to do. These are the standards you need to adhere to. This is the kind of reporting. This is the quality of produce. That, friends, we have been doing for the last 6 years. We will continue to do. In fact, we will intensify. Like he told us, the time is now, and indeed it will be. In addition to that, you heard yesterday when the regulator was talking about inter-sector linkages, that when we finally get to where we're going, every single sector will be impacted and will be changed. Our role today is to find out how is each of those sectors going to be changed, where are the opportunities, and more importantly, what are we doing to harness those opportunities in full. Friends, I'm pleased to report that Stanbic Bank Uganda is sponsoring the knowledge and the research that is going into these intersector linkages. Already, we have worked with the education sector linkage into oil and gas, transport into oil and gas, land use planning, and as of last year, we added agriculture and housing and real estate planning. So that at no point do you say that, for me, I'm in agriculture and therefore I can't participate in oil and gas. There's a firm linkage that you can, not leakage, but linkage, sorry. The same is true for housing. The same is true for education. The same is true for transport. And there's one that I've just been discussing with the regulator before he left, that there is a need for hospitality and tourism, and that is work that we will continue to take on. As I close, friends, I want to thank you one more time, but I also want to take this opportunity to welcome you to Stanbic. We have taken the oil and gas sector and we have owned it from the beginning. We will continue to do so. The work that needs to be done is not just about writing the check. That is the easiest part. The real work is getting Ugandan companies to a place where they can compete. The real work is getting Ugandans to a place where they are ready to partner. This thing we call JVs is not natural to us, joint ventures. We like to do our little things like this. How do we get ourselves into the mindset? How do we ready our structures, our controls, our reporting? There was a conversation earlier about being on a national register, the PAU register. And when I talk to customers, some of the participants, they say, I don't want to register, because then the URA will know what I'm doing. Tax compliance is good for you. It is the minimum if you want to play where you need to play. So these are the conversations. Every single month, we will have a workshop in conjunction with the chamber, where we delve deep into one part. So we will talk about what does it take to register on the national database. But first, and more urgently, from what I've been guided, we will start with the tax matters. What does the URA expect? How do you become compliant? How do you separate that of your business, which is exempt because it's oil and gas, and that which isn't? So those are the things, that the value-adding things, the real hard work that must be done for us to get ourselves ready. With those few remarks, I want to thank you and welcome you to our monthly sessions that will be starting within 30 days from today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Please give our lead sponsor another round of applause. And more importantly, for those monthly sessions, that requires an applause on its own. And I think that, especially with regards to that tax matter that we heard here earlier on, I mean, we all know Ugandans how we operate. They'll tell you, yes, this thing is for tax when he's going to build a small hotel in Burisa. But he's right, it's going to Burisa, but it's just not going to the camp. He's opening another business. So we need to be tax compliant, and it's very, very commendable that Stanbic has taken this up. Now, among the things, of course, that will be discussed is insurance. Also a very big matter. So, as we wind up day 2, allow me to invite Miss Caroline Tayebwa, who's also a sponsor here today from UAP, Old Mutual. Please come and quickly give your 2 remarks, and then we can all head to the cocktail.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. All protocols observed. I'm privileged to be here to represent UAP Old Mutual. I may be the last speaker, but not the least, because insurance is quite critical. And this evening, just allow me quickly go through my deliberations to be able to make you understand the purpose of insurance. So UAP Old Mutual is the leading and largest insurance company in the globe and in Uganda, because we offer holistic solutions and convenience to enable our customers realize their dreams. We are glad to partner with individuals and corporates like you and individuals worldwide to be able to offer solutions. And these are financial services, including general insurance. Life insurance is very critical for everybody of us. Medical insurance, this is inevitable. We also work with investments, and that's in management, securities, and properties, among others. We also deal with pensions, and all this is situated at Nakawa Business Park, one of the largest business parks in town. So in the interest of time, I'll just peruse through our values. It's very critical to understand that we work with integrity. You need to trust us, and we are accountable. We respect each other and the communities we serve. That's very important. We champion the customers. We work with you. I like to joke that my customers are my everyday life, and just like my colleagues. We are agile, innovative, and we try to make a difference. Every day of our lives, we try to make a difference. The power of diversity and inclusion is quite critical, And we are happy to mention that we believe and go through on our daily life to actively diversify and make a difference. So this part of the CSR, I don't go through. My colleagues yesterday and this early afternoon mentioned most about the overview, so I'll just quickly go through. The upstream sector, we have exploration, development and production, as we all know now. The downstream sector, that's refining and storage, marketing and retail. Midstream, we have activities that include supply and trade, shipping, and others. So we have the clarifications under onshore risks and offshore risks, but I'll quickly dive through to the most important of the purpose of the insurance in the oil and gas value chain. So the critical role that we play is on offshore and onshore. The oil wells, you can't do without insurance. There's production and exports. There's operators. There are rigs. This is critical that you have insurance. Flooriness. We have the onshore. We have refineries. We have wellheads. We have petrochemical plants and pipelines. You saw ECOP. We have the gas processing plants and retail outlets. We have the land rigs, oil tanks, and the processing that you can't do without insurance because you need to be sure that you're protected in case of anything. And anyhow, sometimes we are not God. Something will go wrong. I'm not being a prophet of doom, but you need us, and please utilize us so that we can make use of the insurance that there is. We can add value in the national content. So the key places that you must note is upstream. What type of insurances do you need? There's property damage insurance, marine hull, marine cargo, operation extra expense. There's construction erection or risks, business interruption. This is very critical. You saw what happened when COVID-19 disrupted us. In case you're not operating, you really need to be insured so that you can be able to have a backup. You're protected. We want to be your best friend when things are bad. There's third-party liability. The people who don't know what you're trying to do. The people who don't know why you're doing what you're doing. But I can tell you that third-party liability is very critical for every contractor, subcontractor, and subcontractor in here. You really need insurance. The energy package, that's very critical. And then we go down to downstream. You have all risks where you need your insurance in terms of your properties. Everything needs to be insured, including the laptop or the phone that you have. You need the insurance. There is marine cargo right now because we're just at the startup. You're importing in things. You really need, and you're transporting from one place to another, you really need to be insured. It could be an accident. Your cargo needs to be protected. I mentioned about a business interruption as well as third-party liability, the construction and erectional risks, the goods in transit. As we leave from here to Hoima, those goods could get a challenge. Those goods could get a problem. We are here. Trust us. Let's be your friend in terms of need. In terms of trouble, we are happy to serve. And then there's personal accident. Your workers need that, as well as workman's compensation for the casual laborers. You really need, we will talk much more because of time. I don't want to go into the detail. But as well as motor, I think everybody of us, you need not just third party, but comprehensive insurance. So we really need to work together. And as we prospect through the oil and gas, I see some people across the room, and these are some of the brokers that you really need to work with. These are partners. Yesterday they mentioned about collaboration. So we don't really look at people as, or the other companies as competition. We look at them as collaborators and, partners, because we are here to develop the national content and add value as an industry, not just as UAP Old Mutual. So we work with brokers, You can approach us directly. I said our key office is at Nakawa. We work through financial institutions. I was happy and smiling as the lead sponsor, being a bank, was speaking, because it means a lot to keep adding value today, tomorrow, and the next day. We are happy to partner with you and make sure we make a difference in the industry. We have underwriters, I see across the room. Some of the other insurance companies, like I mentioned, we're collaborators, and we want to make a difference in your lives, in your companies, and everywhere you are, because we share. The business is just too much. And I'm happy to know that some of you have already taken the quick and quite important decisions to be able to take on insurance, because it's quite important. And through this, what they call co-insurance, I saw the leader for Ikogu. Ikogu is a consortium for insurance, like they earlier mentioned. So we partner and make sure that each one of us picks a bit of the cake so that you can be protective and be able to add value in our nation. And not forgetting the reinsurers. For example, Uganda Re, we cannot forget them. And all of us, we work through the regulator. That's IRA, Insurance Regulatory Authority, that guides us on what do we do, and do we price it rightly? Do we pay the claims, which is very critical. Besides trying to win you, we all need to honor our promises. So I'm happy that this evening has been quite important, and you've given me your valuable time. As I conclude, because of time I was rushing through, allow me to introduce my colleagues. Kindly just stand up for recognition so that at the networking session or just after here, we can add much of this and be able to share more knowledge and skill. UAP Old Mutual members, please stand up quickly. Yes, those are my colleagues. Thank you, and thanks for listening. Have a good evening.
Thank you very much. It is cocktail time, but before we go, I want to ask our host, who was the first person to speak yesterday, to be the last person to speak today. The chairman of the chamber, Mr. Patrick Mwehire.
Can I do it from here?
Yes, you may.
Okay, thank you. I won't be long, but I just wanted to say, wow, what an amazing couple of days it's been. I think you'll agree with me. We had amazing content. We had very rich dialogue. We had an amazing participation from not just the participants, you, but even the partners and the sponsors. And the amount of transparency and information sharing that was given has just been incredible. So I just want to thank everybody, not just the participants, the sponsors, the contractors. Thank you for sharing. We've been looking for this day for a very long time. And I can tell you that what we saw in the last couple of days has been by far, I think, the deepest conversation we've had about oil and gas. And I've been around this for a long time. So thank you. I also wanted to say that, you know, going forward, I think you can see the role that the chamber plays. And the way we've pivoted it from sort of just being a lobbying to kind of creating and adding value. There are a lot of emerging issues that are coming out of this oil and gas. All the things we spoke about, there's still some people who are against some of these contracts, the ESGs, the issues that we have to face. So we'll continue to play that role, whereas we're playing a space to bring that information together, package it, and then show what the country is doing. Not only just from, you know, an environmental impact point of view, the stuff that the private sector is doing, what the government is doing, but we just sit in a very nice neutral place where we can pull all of that together. So you continue to see that, and we continue to ask for your support as we do that, because this is a very tricky industry. Information is very hard to come by, and you need somebody who can play that leading role. So we'll continue to do that, and we thank for the sponsors to continue to support us, because we'll need your sponsorship. I must say it's a lot easier now to get sponsorship. I remember the first days I'd walk around with Uncle Eli here begging for sponsors, but now we get called, which is amazing. So we hope that will stay the case. So thank you, sponsors. Then the last group I would like to thank are what I call my lady warriors, the ladies from the Secretariat. I don't know where they are, Catherine, you know, where's Pamela? all the guys, a lot of work went into this. We've been working on this for many, many months now, getting the agenda right, getting the moderators right, the sequencing. So I really want you guys to help me and put a very big round of applause to that secretariat, because this would not have been possible without those lady warriors. You don't see them, but they're in the back. They're always working. So thank you again. I also want to thank, of course, the guys who helped today. There was Tony Otoa, there's Pamela, there's Marcus, Michael Mohanji, all the guys who are behind the scenes to try and make this happen. We really appreciate. So with those few remarks, I look forward to the 9th Annual Oil and Gas Convention. We'll be telling you what dates and what we're going to be talking about. Have a great evening and hope we can see you upstairs for the cocktail. Cheers.
Okay, so he has said it all. Thank you very much, all ladies and gentlemen. Like he said, let's meet up at the cocktail network, exchange numbers.
Smart 24, driving business. Every new day brings new opportunities for you to conquer the business world.
Start your day with the show that drives your business.
Be the first to know the latest prices around town, the latest business information around the country and the world.
We bring you in-depth analysis with exclusive interviews from your key players.
And of course, wouldn't you want that for your morning? Get up to speed with what is trending in the business world, all in one morning show. Smart Means Business with your favorite guy, Joram Post Sonko
and Rita Cavanyaro.
Every weekdays, Mondays to Friday from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. as we drive you into the business world. This is Smart 24. Smart 24, driving business.
Kubanga mukyekumidde ku Smart 24 TV program gyenkolera wetunuulira business ez'enjawulo era nga we nagamba nti nno bitundu ebyenjawulo njagala tutuukeyo tutegeere abantu business zaabwe zitambula zitya kusoomoza ki kwe basanga oba dada business zaabwe zitambula mu bitundu byabwe bafuna akatale bakasitoma bajja oba tebajja. Mu nnaku olwaleero decide kajansi nga njagala kutuuseeko business egeje zitambulamu side eno naye ng'omulamwa gwa leero njagala tutegeere ekisiibo kiyisiza kitya business zaffe oba kiyisiza zitya abasuubuzi oba kibongeddeko ki oba kibakendezaako ki. Njagala onegatireko ddala wano ku Smart 24 TV tambulire ddala maaso.
Tunda Max Pan, tunda bizimbisibwa n'ensi eno yatandika mpola mpola nikati egenze kola ki genze yeyongera maaso aka business weti erabika ng'entono naye nnene weetaaga miliyoni nga 5 ekitono. Amakampuni nguza abazimba basically tuguza abantu bali mu byakuzimba ngeje tutunda ebizimbisibwa. Abaguzi waliwo abayitawo ne tufuna abayise waliwo abakwata emirimu gyabwe egy'ebizimbe najja nga akunoonya yeetaaga kino yeetaaga kiri bwe tufuna abaguzi. Luusi tukola n'okulanga okusoomozebwa kwe tusanga nti ebintu bino si tebiringa dduuka nti otunda buli lunaku. Osobola okumala n'omwezi nga totunze naye lwakuba nti ekirungi kyabyo bw'otunda oba otunze. Naye ng'okusoomozebwa kungi oluusi tubitwala ku masayiti ne babitugobya olinagamba si kyenadde njagala. Otaddemu transport otaddemu n'ebirala kale ne wabaawo okufiirizibwawo. Naye okusoomozebwa okulala kw'abantu bennyini bannaffe n'omuwa ebintu atwale bamuwe ssente.
Smart 24, driving business.
I am Penklin Tuginamasko, a stock dealer with UAP Onicho Financial Services Limited. We are licensed by the Capital Markets Authority and the Uganda Securities Exchange to offer stock brokerage services and financial advisory services. UAP Onicho in Uganda is trading under the UAP Onicho Group, and we offer diverse products ranging from insurance, property management, financial services. So under financial services, it's where we do the stock brokerage, the buying and the selling of shares that are listed on the Uganda Securities Exchange. Under financial services, we also do unit trust management, the unit trust funds. Capital markets are markets where investors or institutions come to raise money from the public. So here institutions or organizations looking to raise more capital come to the capital markets, and where there is a pool of investors, and they raise capital through selling out of shares.